This is my favorite way to make a perfect cup of coffee. The device you're looking at is a vacuum coffee pot. Its origins go back to the 1700s. The top chamber, which I'm now removing, will hold coffee. The bottom chamber will hold water. First, fill the lower chamber with fresh water. And by the way, keep your eye on the clock in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. I've compressed time in this video, and the clock will give you a sense of how long the entire process takes. Next, turn the heat up. As the water heats up, let's take a look at the next step. We're going to add coffee to the upper chamber. But before we do that, let me show you the filter. This is what's called a glass rod filter. The device I'm using actually is modern, but the filter is one from the 1950s. After the filter is in place, fill the upper chamber with freshly ground coffee. Let's get that upper chamber out of the way for the time being. And now, we wait. The water is now hot enough to put the upper chamber on the lower chamber. There's a rubber gasket in between the two that forms a seal between the halves. And what's happening now is that as the water in the bottom continues to heat up, it expands and creates pressure. And that pressure forces the water from the lower chamber into the upper chamber. When the water is starting to boil, turn the heat off on the stove. The process will continue. When the water-coffee mixture in the upper chamber is bubbling, it's not boiling, it's bubbling. Wait about a minute and then remove the device from the heat source. As the lower chamber cools, what was pressure becomes a vacuum, and the vacuum causes the coffee in the upper chamber to be sucked down the tube past the filter into the lower chamber. The filter keeps the coffee grounds from being sucked into the bottom chamber along with the coffee. The process is done when the liquid in the upper chamber is gone and the vacuum starts sucking air into the lower chamber. At this point, remove the upper chamber containing virtually dry coffee grounds, from the lower chamber and pour yourself a piping hot cup of delicious coffee. This process may not be as simple as pushing a button on an automatic drip coffee maker, but the extra effort is very much worth it.